My beloved brothers and sisters, have you ever made a dua with so much hope, with tears streaming down your face, your hands raised high, but days pass, weeks pass, even years pass, and nothing seems to change? At that moment, a thought whispers into your heart, maybe Allah will never answer me. But let me remind you today, Allah's delay is not Allah's denial. His silence is not His rejection. His timing is not like our timing, and His plan is far greater than what we can ever imagine. When we look at our lives, one of the greatest struggles we face is impatience. We want things to happen quickly. We want our duas answered immediately. We want our problems solved instantly. Yet life teaches us again and again that nothing truly valuable comes without waiting. And when it comes to the matters of our faith, the wisdom of Allah's timing is far beyond what our limited minds can grasp. Allah is never late. He is never early. His decree is never rushed, nor is it delayed by accident. Everything He allows to happen, every blessing He gives, every hardship He removes, comes at the exact moment it is meant to arrive. That is why we must train our hearts to trust His timing, because His wisdom is flawless. Sometimes you might wonder, why do I have to wait so long? Why are my duas not answered right away? The reality is Allah's delay is never without reason. Perhaps if you were given that blessing now, it would destroy you instead of helping you. Maybe your heart is not ready to handle it. Maybe the situation around you needs to change first. Or perhaps Allah wants you to keep calling on Him to raise your hands in dua repeatedly so that your bond with Him becomes unbreakable. Imagine a person who plants a seed in the soil and then comes the very next day demanding fruit. They dig up the soil in frustration, thinking the seed is not growing. What they don't realize is that the seed is quietly developing roots underground. It is preparing to become a tree that will one day bear fruit. The process is unseen, but it is happening. This is the same with your duas. You may not see results immediately, but something is happening in the unseen world. Allah is arranging, preparing, protecting, and shaping circumstances for your favor. When we say Allah's timing is perfect, it also means His knowledge of our future is complete. We only see the present. We only know our desires. But Allah sees what is ahead. He knows what would happen if you received that job today, or that relationship now, or that wealth instant. He knows whether it would bring you closer to Him or take you away. Out of His mercy, He withholds it until the time when it becomes a means of goodness for you. There are moments in our lives when we look back at something we once desperately wanted and we realize if we had gotten it back then it would have harmed us. But at the right time when Allah allowed it, it became a blessing. This is proof that His timing is never mistaken. The believer understands that delayed does not mean denied. It only means Allah has a better plan, a better season, a better circumstance, and He knows when it will all align. Consider the story of Yusuf alayhi salam. He was thrown into a well as a child. He was sold into slavery, wrongfully imprisoned, and left waiting for years. If we looked at those moments in isolation, they might seem like delays or even punishments, but in reality, they were stepping stones toward his ultimate position as a leader, reunited with his family, honored and elevated. Allah's timing brought him from darkness to light, from prison to palace. In our own lives, what feels like a setback may actually be part of the setup. That not yet from Allah is not rejection, it is preparation. He is crafting something that will unfold beautifully, but only when the right time arrives. Our duty is to remain patient, to keep trusting, and to keep moving forward with faith. So when your heart feels restless, remind yourself, Allah's timing is never wrong. His plan is unfolding with precision. And when the moment arrives, you will understand why it had to take so long, and why every delay was in fact a hidden blessing all along. One of the greatest misunderstandings we fall into is thinking that when life becomes difficult, it must mean Allah is displeased with us. We begin to assume that the presence of pain, loss, or hardship is a sign of rejection. But the truth is very different. In fact, the challenges we face can often be among the strongest signs of Allah's love and concern for us. When Allah loves someone, He purifies them. And purification does not happen through ease alone. It often happens through struggle. Just as gold is refined in fire, believers are refined through trials. Every difficulty, every tear, every sleepless night becomes a means of cleansing us from sins and elevating us to a higher level in the sight of Allah. The Prophet said, when Allah loves a servant, He tests him. This means that tests are not punishment, they are preparation, they are a pathway to His mercy. Think about the ones most beloved to Allah, the prophets. Did they not face the greatest trials? Ibrahim alayhi salam was thrown into the fire. Musa alayhi salam was chased by Pharaoh. Isa alayhi salam was rejected by his own people. Our beloved Prophet Muhammad lost his parents at a young age. buried his children with his own hands, faced hunger, humiliation, and battles. If hardship were a sign of Allah's anger, why then would his most beloved servants experience the harshest of trials? Rather, it is the opposite. The intensity of their struggles was a reflection of their elevated rank. When Allah sends you a test, He is drawing you closer to Him. He is reminding you that this world is temporary, that comfort here is fleeting, and that the real reward lies with Him. Tests strip away our arrogance and force us to turn back to Him in humility. Without hardship, many hearts would remain heedless. But when life shakes us, we suddenly realize how much we need Allah. That realization itself is a gift. Sometimes, a test is not just about your relationship with Allah, it is also a means of protecting you. What looks like loss may actually be divine rescue. Perhaps Allah takes away a friend because that companionship would lead you astray. Perhaps He withholds wealth because it would corrupt your heart. Perhaps He sends illness to protect you from pride or to remind you of the fragility of life. Every test carries hidden mercy, even when our eyes cannot see it. There are people who, in times of ease, forget Allah completely. But when they are tested, their hearts soften, their eyes weep, and their tongues return to dhikr. Isn't this a form of love? That Allah refuses to leave you wandering heedlessly, and instead jolts you back onto the straight path. The Prophet Solomon told us that no believer is pricked by a thorn, no pain afflicts him, no grief touches his heart, except that Allah wipes away sins through it. This means that every difficulty is like an eraser cleansing your book of deeds. With each hardship, you are lighter, purer, and more prepared for the eternal life to come. Allah loves you enough to not let you carry the burden of your sins uncorrected. We must change our perspective. Instead of asking, why is Allah punishing me? We should ask, what is Allah teaching me? Because within every trial lies a lesson, a doorway to growth, and a chance to reach a level of closeness to Allah that ease could never give us. Some of the most beautiful du'as, some of the deepest acts of worship, some of the purest tears are born from moments of pain. And that is how Allah transforms tests into treasures. So never see your struggles as rejection. If Allah did not care for you, He would have left you to wander without correction, without refinement, without a reminder. Instead, He chose to purify you through hardship, to elevate you through patience, and to love you through tests. And that in itself is one of the greatest blessings you can ever receive. When you ask Allah for something and it does not come immediately, the first feeling you may experience is frustration. You might wonder, why is this taking so long? Why is Allah not answering me when I need Him most? But in reality, that very delay is one of the greatest gifts. It is a process through which your faith is built, your patience is polished, and your connection with Allah is deepened in ways you could never imagine. Faith is not built in moments of instant gratification. If every dua was answered instantly, if every request was fulfilled immediately, then faith would not require trust and patience would lose its meaning. The beauty of faith lies in believing without seeing, in trusting the promise of Allah even when your eyes cannot yet witness it. The waiting period is not wasted time. It is sacred time. It is in those days, weeks, or even years of waiting that your heart learns to rely completely on Allah, not on the outcome. Think about how delay changes the quality of your dua. At first, you may ask casually, but as time passes and your heart longs more intensely, your dua becomes deeper, more sincere, more focused. Your tears fall, your voice trembles, and you beg Allah with a humility you might never have reached otherwise. The delay shapes your dua into something far more powerful, something that is not just a request but a true act of devotion. That transformation is part of Allah's plan. Delay also forces us to practice patience, and patience is one of the greatest signs of faith. Allah repeatedly tells us in the Qur'an that He is with the patient, that His mercy surrounds them, and that the reward of the patient is limitless. But patience cannot be learned in comfort. It is only learned through waiting, through enduring, through trusting when things are not in your control. Each day of delay is like a training session, strengthening your spiritual muscles and making your iman resilient. There are times when Allah withholds because He wants to test the sincerity of your worship. Will you still pray if the answer has not arrived? Will you still raise your hands in dua if nothing changes immediately? Will you still trust Him if the doors remain closed for now? These questions are answered in the waiting period. Delay separates those who worship Allah only for results from those who worship Him, because He is worthy of worship regardless of what happens. Consider the story of Yaqub alayhi salam, who waited years in grief for his son Yusuf. Despite the long delay, he never stopped turning to Allah, never stopped hoping, and never stopped believing in His mercy. His faith did not weaken, it grew stronger with every passing year, until Allah reunited him with His son in the most beautiful way. That delay was not empty, it was filled with growth, with purification, and with trust that shines as an example for us all. Delay also teaches us reliance on Allah rather than on people or material means. When you have exhausted all options and nothing seems to work, your heart is forced to cling only to Allah. And when you experience His help after such long waiting, the sweetness of relief is incomparable. If blessings came instantly, we would take them for granted, but when they come after long patience, they taste sweeter, they humble us, and they leave us more grateful. So the delay is not just about waiting for something externally, it is about what happens inside you during that wait. Your heart becomes softer, your tongue becomes more constant in dhikrin, your soul becomes stronger in tawakkul. Allah is not ignoring you, He is building you. He is shaping you into a believer who trusts Him unconditionally. And when the answer finally comes, you will realize that the delay was not a barrier but a bridge, one that led you to stronger faith and a deeper connection with the one who always hears your prayers. One of the most important lessons we must understand in our journey of faith is the difference between denial and delay. Many people confuse the two. When something they desire does not arrive immediately, they assume Allah has denied them. They feel rejected, abandoned, or forgotten. But the truth is very different. A denial from Allah is always for our protection, and a delay from Allah is often for our perfection. Both are rooted in His mercy and wisdom, never in cruelty or neglect. Denial happens when something we ask for is not good for us. We may see it as beneficial, but Allah sees what we do not see. He knows the hidden dangers, the long-term consequences, the unseen realities that could harm our faith, our peace, or our future. Out of His mercy, He blocks it. What feels like a loss is actually divine protection. Just as a mother refuses her child's request for a sharp knife, not because she is cruel, but because she is loving, Allah withholds what we think we need when in reality it could destroy us. Delay, on the other hand, is different. Delay does not mean rejection. Delay means Allah has accepted your dua, but He is arranging the best circumstances for its fulfillment. Sometimes you are not ready. Sometimes the blessing itself is not ready. Sometimes the world around you must shift before the answer can arrive. The delay is like a gardener waiting for the right season. Planting in winter would kill the seed, but planting in spring will allow it to flourish. Allah waits until the season of your life is right. The danger is that impatience makes us mistake delay for denial. We cry, we despair, we assume Allah has turned away from us, when in fact He is preparing something far better than what we imagine. The Qur'an reminds us, it may be that you dislike a thing while it is good for you, and you may love a thing while it is bad for you. Allah knows and you do not know. This verse teaches us to distinguish between what we want now and what we truly need later. There are times when Allah denies because the very thing we crave would distance us from Him. Imagine begging for wealth that would make you arrogant, or a relationship that would drag you into sin, or success that would make you forget prayer. In those moments, denial is a hidden mercy. It saves us from our own limited vision. But when Allah delays, it is to give us the blessing in the most beautiful way, at the most perfect moment. Think of the prophets once more. When Musa alayhi salam prayed for the downfall of Pharaoh, it did not happen instantly. The delay was not denial. It was Allah's plan unfolding with wisdom. The people needed time, the message needed to spread, and the lesson of Pharaoh's arrogance had to be made clear. When the time was right, the answer came, and it came in a way that shook history. Similarly, when Maryam alayhi salam prayed in her moment of desperation during childbirth, Allah's relief came at the exact moment she needed it most, not earlier, not later, but perfectly timed. Understanding this difference brings peace to the heart. If what you are asking for is harmful, Allah's denial is His protection. If what you are asking for is good but not yet ready, His delay is His preparation. Both outcomes are mercy, even if one feels bitter and the other feels frustrating. What we must never do is interpret either as abandonment, for Allah never abandons the believer. The believer's role is to trust, to keep making dua, to keep hoping, to keep striving, knowing that the answer will come in one of three forms. Either Allah grants what you ask for, or He replaces it with something better, or He delays it for a time when it will bring you greater benefit. Each of these outcomes is a form of acceptance, not rejection. So, the next time your heart feels restless because the answer has not yet arrived, remind yourself, maybe it is not a denial, it is a delay. And maybe that delay is Allah's way of writing your story with wisdom, patience, and perfection far beyond your imagination. When we want to understand how to handle delays, difficulties, and unanswered prayers, the best examples are found in the lives of the prophets. They were the most beloved to Allah, yet their du'as were not always answered immediately. Their struggles were long, their hardships were intense, but their patience was unmatched. Through their stories, Allah teaches us that a delay is never a denial, but rather part of a divine plan that unfolds with wisdom. Consider the story of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. He longed for a child for many years. He and his wife Sarah grew old without children, yet he never lost hope in Allah's mercy. He continued to pray, even when people would have considered it impossible. And when Allah finally blessed him with Ismail alayhi salam in his old age, it was a miracle that continues to inspire believers until today. The delay was not rejection, it was preparation for a child who would become a prophet and carry forward a legacy of submission. Then think of Prophet Musa alayhi salam. When he stood by the Red Sea with Pharaoh's army chasing behind, his people panicked. To them the answer was too late. They cried out, "We are overtaken." But Musa alayhi salam, full of trust, said, "Indeed, my Lord is with me. He will guide me." The answer came at the very last moment when the sea was split and safety was granted. The delay was not denial. It was a lesson that even when the situation seems impossible, Allah's help can arrive in ways you could never imagine. Look at Prophet Zakaria alayhi salam, an old man with white hair still raising his hands to Allah, asking for a child. Years passed and nothing happened, yet he did not stop praying. He knew Allah hears every whisper of the heart. And one day the angels came with glad tidings of Yahya alayhi salam, a righteous son granted, at a time when no one thought it possible. The delay was not denial. It was a chance for his patience to shine and for a miracle to be even more powerful. We also see the example of Prophet Yunus alayhi salam, who found himself in the belly of the whale. If ever there was a situation that looked hopeless, it was his. He turned to Allah with the dua, "There is no God but you. Glory be to you. Indeed, I was of the wrongdoer." He remained in that darkness waiting for Allah's mercy. The relief did not come instantly, but it came at the perfect moment and Allah saved him, showing us that no matter how deep our difficulty, the door of mercy is never closed. And above all, the life of our beloved Prophet Muhammad is filled with examples of delay that was never denial. For 13 years in Mecca, he faced persecution, insults, and oppression. His companions were tortured, boycotted, and driven. They prayed for relief, but the answer did not come immediately. Victory was delayed until after migration, until after trials, until after patience was tested. And when victory finally came, it came in such a way that the message of Islam spread across the world. The delay was not rejection. It was Allah's perfect plan unfolding step by step. What we learn from these stories is that delay is often the stage upon which faith is tested and perfected. The prophets never gave up hope. They never assumed that Allah had abandoned them. They kept praying, kept trusting, and kept walking forward even when the road was long. Their patience turned their delays into stories of inspiration for all of humanity. So whenever you feel like your prayers are not being answered, remember the prophets. Remember Ibrahim waiting for a child, Musa waiting for the sea to open, Zakaria waiting for glad tidings, Yunus waiting in the depths of darkness, and Muhammad waiting for victory. If delay was part of their journey, then surely it is part of ours too. And if Allah eventually answered them in the most beautiful ways, then rest assured He will never forget you either. Patience is not just a virtue. In Islam, it is a pathway to some of the greatest rewards promised by Allah. When you bear hardship with sabr, when you continue to trust Allah despite delays, losses, or pain, you are positioning yourself for blessings beyond measure. In fact, patience is one of the qualities that Allah praises most in the Qur'an. Again and again, He assures us that He is with those who are patient, that He loves them, and that their reward will be far beyond what they can imagine. When Allah asks us to be patient, it is never without a reason. Every moment of patience builds you, strengthens you, and elevates your rank. The Prophet taught us that no difficulty afflicts a believer, not even a thorn pricking the skin, except that Allah erases sins through it. This means that every second of patience is not wasted. It is recorded, it is valued, and it is rewarded in ways that will amaze you on the day of judgment. Think about it. When something painful happens, you have two choices. You can complain, despair, and give up. Or you can surrender your heart to Allah and say, "Allah, I trust you. I know you have wisdom in this." The moment you choose the second path, you unlock rewards that are continuous. Allah counts every sigh, every tear, every moment you resisted despair, and He promises to compensate you with something better. Patience is not passive, it is active. Trust, it means you keep praying, keep striving, keep moving, even when results are slow. And the longer you hold on to patience, the greater the reward grows. Allah tells us in the Quran, "Indeed, The patient will be given their reward without measure. Without measure means unlimited. Unlike other deeds where the reward is multiplied by a certain number, patience has no limit. It is an endless reservoir of reward because Allah alone knows the depth of the struggle you endure. In this world, patience often leads to results that are more beautiful than what we expected. A delayed blessing, when it finally arrives, carries more sweetness because of the wait. The heart that endured years of longing appreciates the gift more than if it had been received instant. That appreciation itself is a reward. And sometimes, patience leads to alternative blessings you never asked for, but needed even more. Allah, in His wisdom, redirects your heart toward gifts greater than the ones you originally sought. But the true reward of patience is not just in this dunya, it is in the akhirah. The people who bore difficulties with patience will be among the most honored on the day of judgment. Their scale will be heavy with rewards they did not even realize they were earning. The pain that once made them cry will transform into light that guides them to Jannah. And in paradise, when they see the eternal joy, they will understand that every moment of patience was worth it. The Prophet told us that on the day of judgment, when those who suffer in this life see the rewards prepared for them, they will wish they had suffered even more so that their patience could have earned them greater rewards. This shows us how much value Allah places on sabr. What feels unbearable now will one day be the source of eternal happiness. Patience is also the quality that helps you overcome trials without losing your faith. It prevents you from falling into despair. It reminds you that hardship is temporary, but reward is eternal. The stronger your patience, the more unshakable your faith becomes. And the more unshakable your faith, the greater your status in the sight of Allah. So every time you are tested, remember that the pain will pass, but the reward will remain. Every time you are made to wait, remind yourself that Allah is not ignoring you. He's writing a story that ends with greater rewards. The treasures of Jannah are reserved for those who are patient, and every second of endurance in this world is building your palace in the next. My beloved brothers and sisters, when we look at our journey through life, we see moments of waiting, moments of hardship, and moments where our du'as seem unanswered. But through it all, one truth shines clearly: Allah's delay is not Allah's denial. His timing is perfect, His wisdom is flawless, and His love for us is greater than we can comprehend. The delays we face are not wasted. They purify us, strengthen our faith, and draw us closer to Him. The tests we endure are not rejection. They are signs of His love, opportunities for us to grow and pathways to forgiveness. What we mistake as denial is often divine protection, and what we see as delay is often preparation for something better than we ever imagined. Every prophet faced delay. Every beloved servant of Allah was tested, yet none were denied His mercy, none were abandoned, and none were left without relief. Their patience became their strength, their struggles became their legacy, and their faith became their victory. And so, patience is not just about waiting. It is about trusting. Trusting that Allah knows when. Trusting that Allah knows what is best. When you remain patient, Allah promises you rewards without measure, both in this life and in the eternal life to come. So hold firm to hope. Keep your heart alive with dua. Never give up. Never assume you have been forgotten, and never let delay make you lose faith. The story of your life is still unfolding, and the author of that story is the most merciful, the most wise. Be patient, for what is written for you will come at the best time in the best way, and it will make you realize that Allah's delay was never a denial. It was always His plan, His mercy, and His love guiding you to something greater.